So, welcome everybody to the Funding Your Study Abroad trip. We have our global ambassadors here with us today, and we're just going to kind of talk about their experiences abroad and how they were able to fund their study abroad trips, and some insight on how they budgeted, all that good stuff. So we're just gonna go around and introduce everybody. Starting with me, my name is Erica. I am a peer advisor here at the CSULB Education Abroad Office. I am a business marketing major and I studied abroad at Yonsei University in South Korea with the CSUIP program. So let's go with Abby. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Abby. I'm a third year international business major, and I studied with the CSULB faculty-led program in London last spring.
I'm Caroline Tran. I'm graduating this semester. I'm an industrial design major, and I studied in South Korea as well at Hongik University through the exchange program last fall.
I'm Jennifer. My major is Japanese. I'm double minoring in translation studies and teaching English as a second language. I attended Meiji University as part of the exchange program as well in Tokyo, Japan.
My name is Khalil. I'm a fourth year mechanical engineering student. I studied at Coventry University, United Kingdom, just to get a little bit more about what career I was looking for and for what life was like outside of the country.
Okay, perfect. Nice to meet you all. I think our first question is going to be how you guys funded your study abroad trip, whether that was through a scholarship, savings, personal savings, family, financial aid. So for me, I had a lot of savings saved up and also had some family support, but a lot of it was financial aid. If anyone wanted to chime in with how they funded their study abroad trip.
Yeah, I can go ahead. So I've been saving up probably a year and a half before I knew for sure I wanted to do this. I did apply for the ASI study abroad scholarship. Obviously, not too many people are going to be applying for that, so you have a good chance of getting accepted as long as you put a good amount of effort into the essay. And then obviously FAFSA and other financial aids go a long way as well. But yeah, would definitely recommend saving up for this program for a good amount of time because you never know, what can happen. So at least a year's worth of savings, I think, would be good for most people. And then financial aids, you should be fine.
So for me, it was a very last minute decision. I think I decided I wanted to study abroad like 4 months before it actually happened. I already had my personal savings account, which I thought I was gonna use for emergencies. But majority of it was through FAFSA. Yeah. Certainly.
I've started saving. It's not necessarily saving for study abroad, but I had money since high school from like graduation and such. And with family support also was really nice. But I did apply for some of the scholarships we mentioned, like the ASI one. I also applied for Gilman, and also there were some departmental scholarships that I had applied for that was about study abroad. So that really helped out. And then during the trip, actually, I did receive the middle class scholarship, and I was like, oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, I think I got that one too. Yeah.
As for me, I've been wanting to do study abroad for a few years, so I saved up as much money as I could over time. My dad and my grandparents also helped me out with contributing to my savings a bit. As for my dorm payment, I actually took out a loan for that. I got it from an organization that had 0 interest fees, so that was very convenient.
And just to like kind of briefly touch on the scholarships for people who did apply for that and get it. how was that process for you guys? Like easy, hard? Would you recommend it? Because a lot of people, they know that scholarship options exist, but they don't really go for it. So if you guys had any advice on that?
I mean,
Um,
honestly, I'm sorry. You can go ahead.
oh, no, go ahead. It's fine.
All right. So honestly, I thought it was pretty straightforward. I mean, it's all on the same page as the page where you apply for the study abroad program. So like I say, everything's in the same place. So you apply basically on the page of where you apply for the study abroad program, it'll have a list of scholarships, it'll have a list of life in that country. So like I said, everything's in the same place. So I would definitely apply for those because they'll go a long way. Like I said, you never know what can happen over there. So every little bit counts.
I think what's surprising is that like that ASI scholarship, for example, I was telling my friend about it and she's just like, huh? There's a scholarship there? And when I talked to some people from Hongik, the other students from CSULB, they were also like, I didn't know about that. I wish I applied for that. So really genuinely, if you can find those scholarships, it's really good. In my department, we're a smaller department here at the industrial design department. I said department like so many times. But essentially, if you have a smaller department, it's also easier to get those kinds of scholarships, in my opinion, because not many people you will be competing against are going to be studying abroad, if that makes sense. But in addition to that, the Gilman scholarship, that one's based off Pell Grant and financial need, but that one's a really big scholarship, and getting that one is a bit more difficult than say the departmental ones or ASI, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next question, which is what helped you budget effectively while you were abroad? Like, did you guys have a checklist? Did you guys have a set plan where you were like, I'm gonna spend this much on food this week. I'm gonna just save aside this much money for trips or tuition or whatever. If you guys had any methods on how you guys did that?
Okay. I did. So I was very conscious of how much I wanted to spend for the trip. I had about 2,500 for living expenses while I was there. And basically every week I had a weekly budget. Let's say 2,500 divided by 12 weeks is going to be like $200 a week or something, let's say. And then at the end of that week, I would make sure that I was still on track and recalculate, okay, how much money do I still have based on how many weeks are left? So I just kept doing that every week, just make sure I was on track and I wasn't going to go under. And whenever my mom sent a little bit of money, whether that was $50, $100, or if I got scholarship money while I was there, you just keep up with your finances every week, every month, whatever it is, instead of just going with a lump sum of money and you end up spending half of it on the first week. Another piece of advice I would give is explore the first week, like explore different places to go to the grocery store, explore different places to, basically figure out your cost of living so that you can budget appropriately for the weeks that follow and make sure that you're on track and you're conscious of how much you're going to be spending.
I think beforehand, it's really good to understand how much you normally spend just at home. You probably be
Right.
spending more when you study abroad, but
That's smart.
some classes I've taken talking about budgeting is but just don't really hide your expenses, but just account for how much you've been spending for the past month. And that way you can look at those expenses and go, well, I've spent a lot of money in food, more than I'd like to. And you can tell yourself to reduce the amount of money you're going to spend in that. And also knowing when you're going to be spending more money in, say, travel or like concerts or something, you want to go, I'm going to go eat at the convenience store, for example, that day. I think it's really different in our experience in Asia because at least in Korea, there's not a lot of home cooking there and groceries are actually more expensive sometimes. So understanding that there are cheaper places to eat is also important too.
Just to go off of what Caroline said, she made a really good point. If you know that you're a shopaholic back home, be ready. Be ready because you know you're going to be shopping a lot out there. While I was in Japan, I'm very big on shopping. So I knew that I needed to research, find some restaurants that are very budget friendly. I found a lot of restaurants in my area that served a good amount of food for really cheap, like $8. There's what they call the mom pa ramen shops out there, huge portion of ramen for like $5 US. And that would fill me up for like pretty much the whole day. Going to the konbini stores, so like the 7-Elevens and Lawson and all that. They have plenty of food there that you can fill up on. And also same in Japan, the markets can be a bit more pricey than going out and eating food. So it's very common for people in Japan to go out and eat versus cooking at home. So much cheaper. So
Yeah.
also going to Daiso, you can get literally anything there that you need. I got a lot of dorm supplies, school supplies there. Um yeah, also, for me, there was a student discount for transportation, specifically for the trains that go to your school. So, I would also look into that, see if your school offers that.
And Abby, I know you stayed at a homestay. So how
Yeah.
was your experience like?
So for me, it was like it was a set amount of money for the homestay, for the transportation, and for tuition. So everything was like combined into one. And which helped me a lot because that meant I didn't have to think about it too much. Like it was already like planned out for me and budgeted for me. So yeah, I definitely saved on transportation. I would say that I would only be able to stay within like 3 zones. So anything outside of those zones, like the airport, it was like another £6 in addition. So you would have to pay that out of pocket. So there were definitely a few things that were outside of London that you had to pay for if you wanted to leave, of course. Um, but yeah, the homestay was definitely the cheaper option. I know the apartments that they offered for students, it was much, much more expensive. But they always do give you that option. Also, they also provide you with like an option to travel. They had like a little side trip, like it was a trip to Scotland, which was like an extra $600 if you wanted to. So yeah, that you always have that option. But of course, it's like you have to know how much you'll be spending before you actually leave. Like for me, I made like a little plan and kind of set some money aside, so I knew how much I had to spend in total when I got there. Um, and that helped me a lot. Yeah, that's it for me.
Just wanted to add also, I think this is really important because I know some people are thinking they might be able to get a part-time job while they're abroad, but you want to check with your country to make sure if you can actually do that. I know South Korea does not let you do that unless you're there for a whole year, I believe. Then you can start working the second semester.
No,
For
that's
London,
really important. Yeah.
yeah, for London, it was a $500 visa for any internship.
Okay. That's good. Did you have any information on where you guys stayed, Jennifer, Khalil, in terms of like jobs or internships?
I didn't have any opportunities for internships.
Um, Well, for me, I actually was thinking about doing like a part-time job out there. And so something to know is when you get to the airport and you get um what's it called? Your like citizens card, they actually ask you, do you plan on working there? You can just say yes, just in case you do decide you want to work out there. They're not gonna find out if you didn't work or whatever. It's free from what I remember. So yeah, just make sure to say yes if you're thinking about if you want to work out there. But I don't remember, well, I didn't actively look for a job, so I can't say whether or not I was offered like any internship or job opportunities.
And since we kind of talked about like what we spent money on, how was your guys's ways on how did you use your like cash versus your digital payments? Like, did you guys have like a set did you guys carry around cash? Did you have a weekly cash limit or like digital cards that you made? Because for me personally, I made because I'm a dual citizen, so this is kind of like just um special on like for me because I'm a dual citizen. So because I think you need a citizenship or like the ARC in order to like make a card out there. But yeah, I opened up like a Korean bank account just because I wanted it to be convenient. And like with the bank account, they let you use that as a transportation card as well. So that's why I did it. I didn't want to like carry around like a foreign Visa card, even though I know like a lot of banks don't charge like the overseas fees anymore. So how was your guys' like experience on that?
I
Okay.
think exchanging like your money to wherever you're going is like the smartest choice ever because for digital wallet, it's so much more expensive because it's the conversion rate, and on top of that, you're getting like the international fee, which definitely adds up on like debit cards from here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely added up because I would use Apple Pay like all the time without thinking that the international fee is also added on top of what I'm already spending.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a lot. Yeah.
All right.
Around like oh sorry. I was curious on like around you don't have to give like a specific amount, but like around how much in fees just on like the transaction fees.
Just on fees. I mean, it's like for every purchase, it was like a 40-cent fee.
That like added up basically.
Yeah, that added up. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Sorry, Cleo, go ahead.
All right. So like I said, I'm very much on top of my finances. I went ahead and used a Revolut card, which is a debit card that you can switch between any currency pretty much instantly. There's no fees at all. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And there's a sign-up bonus for it as well. It's like $100. But I also used my Chase Sapphire Preferred, which has zero foreign transaction fees at all. And because Europe, you can pretty much pay card anywhere, whether it's a mom and pop shop, the bus, even like the UK is just so good. You can use your Apple Pay or your card literally anywhere and you have no problems with it. So definitely get you a bank card that has zero transaction fees and you're set in the UK for sure. And most of Europe for that matter.
For me, so I always made sure to have cash on me. I took out cash for my bank here in LA. I have Chase Bank, so I made sure to do that. I also applied for the Amazon credit card, Amazon Chase credit card that has zero transaction fees as well. So highly recommend that. Yeah, so always make sure to have cash on you because many shops, like the mom and pop shops in Japan, they 99% of the time only take cash and also some other stores. So always carry cash on you. And then also make sure to get a credit card that has a zero overseas fees.
I think it was kind of crazy when I visited Japan just for like the short bit that I went. They actually used a lot of cash, at least a lot more than Korea. So taking note of where you go and which country would need cash is really important. For me, I had one of those cards similar to Jennifer, where it was from Chase and it had like a zero fee for foreign transactions. It's a credit card. I know that there's a lot of those that are available, especially for like the low range, like beginner credit cards. But I also did take out money. Since you're Erica, you mentioned about getting cash and having a Korean bank account, you need that card, that ARC card, in order to actually get that bank account. So make sure you actually have cash beforehand when you go to Korea because they only use like I think this is a lot for the same for most countries, but their transit will use only cash. So unless you have one of those cards. So it's really important to get at least like at the minimum like $20 in cash. Like I would get more than that. But all of the transit that I used had to use cash. Like even if you wanted to refill the reusable cards for transit, you would have to pay that in cash. You couldn't pay that with credit card, and it was kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also I know for me personally, I had to, if I wanted to withdraw cash, it was like an extra $5 on top of the international fee. And that was just with like a Chase debit card. But I've had friends who had those like federal, I think school-based credit card or debit cards that would have like zero fee. So I'd ask them to withdraw the money for me and then I would like Venmo them. And then just as a different reference, we also used Wise to transfer money between people amongst different countries. At least in Korea, everyone that I saw, like the Koreans, the people from Europe, they would all use that to give money to each other because we didn't have one shared like PayPal or one shared Venmo. Wise was the best one we could use.
I didn't even know that. I was like, because that was a problem for me too. Because like we had like Japanese students and like European students, and some of them they don't have Venmo. So yeah, that's a really good piece of information.
Yeah, I think just like one person started using it and they were like, this is really good. This company Wise, they like do that. And I know somebody got a Wise card from them and they had like less fees, but I don't really like Wise because
Mhm.
the the fees are a little bit much, but it works out for transferring money to everyone so that you don't have to give them your cash that you got.
Yeah, so I think it's like very different from like people who went to UK or like Europe versus people who like went to Asian countries. So it's really depends on where you're going, like someone mentioned earlier. Um, I think the next question we can kind of transition into is what was the heaviest financial burden? Like what stressed you out the most, I guess? What was it, like the tuition? Was it the dorms, the transportation, the food? Um, yeah, if you guys wanted to.
I think for
I
me,
can.
what I
Oh, go ahead.
battled with most was eating out because
Mhm.
everything is so new to you. You want to try so many new things.
Right.
Like you're tempted like every day walking to class or like taking the bus to class, you see so many new things on the way. And you want to, well, obviously it's good to like experience those new things, but also it's good to like budget and like take care of your money and not like spend it all in like the first week because that's something I
Mhm.
really struggled with, like spending all my money like the first week and then having nothing like
Mhm.
to like kind of waste like towards the end. But yeah, I think that's very important, like pacing your money out throughout the entire trip.
Okay. If I can go ahead, my biggest burden was definitely the accommodation because out of the 12,000 I spent total, it was like 4.5K for the accommodation that I had to pay, all of which was up front. And I was having some bank problems with my high yield savings account, trying to pay it with that, and then with the trying to pay with credit card and trying to do a wire transfer. So that caused me a lot of problems, and I almost wasn't able to go. I ended up paying that late. So definitely make sure you have the money in a place where you can transfer it right away, that there's going to be no problems with that. And then I would say, other than that, I would say transportation, just because in the UK there was a lot of train strikes. And one problem I did was I went to, I was on vacation basically, and the train strikes meant I didn't have a way home because everything kept getting canceled. So I would definitely budget a little extra for transportation, not necessarily because there might not be strikes where you are, but just because you don't know what you don't know, basically. And transportation is going to be a really big part of your trip. So just, be prepared for things to happen. And then obviously have the savings up in case, there's bank problems before you even go.
For me was also transportation, and then because I like to shop a lot, the shopping, but definitely the transportation costed so much money. And then also, like Caroline said, the train stations use cash only. So I forgot to add that in. I just wanted to say, same with Japan. Um, but I would also, just to kind of cut back on traveling or on the transportation a lot, what I did was I would walk if I could. Like, I don't need to go on that train to just just to go over one stop. That's like a maybe 30-minute walk. So if you're okay walking, like I am, like I would walk 30 minutes, an hour or whatever to the next place, because that's just the kind of person I am. But it's so worth it. You get to do a lot of sightseeing. I saw many shops and restaurants that interested me, and I would stop by there, and I would have never known if I got on that train. So that's definitely something you can do, is just consider walking to the next place if you can.
I think for me and a lot of people, like the flights, the cost of the flight kind of deters you from wanting to do this trip, especially since like we have programs that are basically one-to-one with the cost of tuition here. Um, Personally, I don't know if I have any necessary advice for booking flights. All I can say is just book them really early if possible. And also, I guess just I think that's just really it. I know some credit cards, if you open them and if you get a good sign-in bonus, you can get points and then you can book flights through that. But that's all I got.
Yeah, I think you guys all kind of touched on different aspects of what costs money in study abroad.
If I can add one thing,
Yeah.
adding off the credit cards you said, like I said, I had the Chase Sapphire Preferred. I got a $750 sign-up bonus when I applied for that. So I would definitely, if you're into credit card, definitely get a travel credit card that'll give you a lot of points or cash back. Or obviously there's airline credit cards as well, whether it's JetBlue, Southwest, that's American flights, but you can definitely find credit cards or even, standard banks that'll give you sign-up bonuses. So if you're running a little low on cash, that's definitely something to keep in mind. Like I say, you can probably get up to $1,000 with sign-up bonuses. So it'll go a long way.
All right, thank you guys. And to kind of wrap up the panel, I do have one last question. Do you guys have any advice for future students who might be worried about funding, about how to fund their study abroad trip? Because I know money is the biggest factor. I think no matter what angle you kind of look at it, a lot of people are worried about the cost because it is kind of pricey. It is pricey to travel. So do you guys have any advice on people who like really want to study abroad, but they're just worried about the money?
I would definitely say make sure you have a support system if you can. Like if you can rely on your parents or some friends, or I mean mainly parents or your grandparents will mainly support you. See if you can find an organization that gives loans interest free. That was actually something I wanted to mention, was that the dorm also costs a lot of money too. That was a big fee. So I took out a loan for that. Um, do your research of the area of any cheap restaurants. There's a lot of free events that you can go to, and activities that are very budget friendly. So do your research. If you're in Japan, go to Daiso for whatever you need.
Korea
And
too.
yep, in
Korea.
Korea.
Yeah.
And yeah, just have a support system and make a budget for yourself.
I would just tell students to just apply to any scholarship you can find, especially since it's going to be already narrowed down to people who are interested in studying abroad. And then on top of that, some of them don't even know that some of these scholarships exist, slash they're already prepared to pay for their trip. And in addition, just on top of what Jennifer said, choosing the country of where you study is also important. I think Asian countries are generally a little bit cheaper, just how they operate, because they don't have, some of them don't have like the same kind of like welfare systems, for example, as Europe might have. Korea is, even though it's gotten, apparently it's like according to them, the inflation has gotten super high like in fall, but I'm comparing food, like I could buy a bowl of udon there for like $6 or $7, and here it would cost like $15. So kind of know where you're gonna go live is also really important. And then finally, I guess just I would just say just just do it. Like it's really, there's a lot of people who are willing to pay for your study abroad trip. Like you can find the people if you look.
All right, if I can go ahead, this is loosely connected, but I would just say remind yourself why you're doing this, because there's not necessarily a good or a bad reason to do this, but if you just keep that in mind, I'm going to advance my career, or I'm going because I'm really attached to this country, you're more motivated to find a way to figure it out. Like if you throw yourself in the deep end, you remind yourself, I'm here because, like I said, you're here for your career, you're here to have fun, whatever it is, you'll figure it out when you get there. You'll figure it out along the way. And I guess if there is the biggest financial advice I would give, definitely weekly budgets, definitely have a buffer or some sort of, in case things go wrong, fund, if you will. But like I said, if you have a mindset of I'm here because of this, you will be more willing to figure out how to figure it out, basically, whether it's finding the cheap grocery stores or whatever it is. Just stay motivated and you'll figure it out along the way. But if you just come in, not really a plan, you have a bunch of money and you're not really cognizant, you go and blow through a lot of your money and you could be in a bad situation. But just keep in mind why you're there and you'll figure it out.
I think for me, I would definitely say don't let the money aspect of it scare you or deter you from studying abroad. Like whether the money comes from a support system, like Jennifer said, or if the money comes from yourself and like you working for the money, it just makes it like 10 times more worth it when you're there. Not only are you having fun in a new country, meeting new people, you come out with like an experience that's like you can't get anywhere else. Like you grow so much as a person and like just growing into like an individual and like learning all these new things in a different country with new people. It's just an experience that's like none other. Yeah.
And I think
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, I just wanted to also add CSU programs for study abroad are really cheap. I mean, like I think there's some programs out there that they'll offer like scholarships and such, but then their programs will cost $10,000 and that's not including housing either. So just as a note.
And I was just gonna say, I think all five of us can all agree that like, yes, this costs money, but yes, we would do it again. Yeah, so really definitely like Abby said, just doing it, I think is the number one step. Yeah, did you guys have anything else you wanted to add? Is it good? Okay.
Not really, other than I actually am considering doing it again.
Oh,
Like I said, I might
yay.
actually want to go to South Korea. You guys mentioned going there because I was really close to going over there, but I was a bit lazy to learn a new language. But now that I've done it once in the UK, I'm strongly considering going again. I just have to remind myself, like I said, what's the value in going, and then you figure it out. That's the biggest thing. Don't be afraid that it's a lot of money. Like you said, just map out why you want to go and it'll be worth it. You'll figure it out.
They're
There
actually
you
creating
go.
a new program for Korea for next spring. So that's also something to look forward to.
Yes.
Okay.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah. All right, perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. To our student ambassadors, it was a great time. Thank you for the viewers who are watching. And we actually have another panel happening soon that's going to cover women abroad for Women's History Month. So it's going to talk about experiences that women have abroad, stuff like that. So we hope we can see you guys then too. Other than that, thank you for watching.